Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Welcome back to another episode. I hope you all enjoyed my chat with Aina the last couple shows. It was really a joy to sit down and just get really real and talk about life and the darkness and how we can shift it. But today, I am sensing people might need some comic relief, right? How many of you find yourself running around in your mind, worried about every little thing, worried about the future, worry, and you're driving yourself insane? How many of you do this? I do it. I know that everybody shares the crazy mind. The insane mind is something we all share. And it's time for some comedy. It's time to laugh. Who's craving comic relief? Because laughter can really be a tool to soothe the insane mind. Let's get into this today. I want to start today by sharing a funny story with you. One of my daughters, when she was in high school, was very, very good at not attending class. She was so good at it that I would get repeated notifications on my phone that she's missed another class, missing class. I'm like, why are you contacting me? Contact her. You know? How many of you have kids and you get notifications about all the assignments they're missing? It's over the top. I feel like there should be an opt-out for kids of a certain age that they are responsible for themselves. Anyway, so she gets very good at this and it becomes very annoying and I am going crazy, constantly tracking her, going, why the hell are you at 5 below when you should be in algebra? You know? Oh, I just thought it would be fun. I don't really need to go there. So she develops a long, unexcused list of absences, upwards of over 65 classes in one semester. That's a lot, right? And I got really tired of the school not helping me out with this situation. I had to literally contact her teachers and say, she's running circles around you. Stop accepting her late work and giving her full credit because she's got it figured out, right? Long story short, she's going to homecoming. And she comes at me one evening in the car as we're driving home and she says, Mom, how about you excuse me from class and let me go get a manicure for homecoming? And I looked at her and said, are you freaking out of your mind? I am not doing that. You've already missed 1,000,000 classes this semester. Figure out a time outside of school to go get your little nails done. And she looks at me and she screams, you're a bullshit mom. You know what my reaction was? Which could have been fighting her and yelling at her. You should never talk to me like that. I busted up laughing. I couldn't stop laughing because I saw the absurdity in the whole thing. And this is what I'm getting at today. When you are able to step out of the insane thinker, and in that moment, I could recognize that she was kind of in her insane thinker running wild. I decided to laugh because it was ridiculous. And it was ridiculous of her to think that I would actually fall for this. After she had accrued so many absences, I wasn't falling for another one. I'm like, figure it out. Paint your own nails. You don't need to go get them done. So this triggers a whole slew of events where I literally make a sweatshirt and it says, I'm a bullshit mom. Hashtag BSM. I open up bullshitmoms.com. I thought it was hilarious. I have not done anything with it, but I think it's funny. And for any of you that literally are struggling parenting, you have to laugh sometimes and just let your kids do what they do. It's really hard when you're watching something go really south, like it's going down into a death spiral, and you can't fix them. There's a certain age where you have to let go and you just let them figure it out. And you're there for support, but there's boundaries, right? There's certain things you're not going to let your kids get away with. But it was so funny and it made me laugh. It still makes me laugh and it actually makes her laugh. She actually learned to laugh at the whole situation. She thought the sweatshirt was funny. I gave it to a friend. I mean, we just had a ball with this. So, where in your own life are there instances where things literally feel like they're out of control and you suddenly have that glimmer of laughter? Like, this is so far gone that it's funny. Like, how many of you experience this or have you? And if you haven't yet, will you? Can you see that it's possible to lighten up, to let go of it for a moment and just breathe, laugh, get a little laughter out of it? First, I want to start off by talking about the mind and its experience of life and the rigidity of it. The mind can be so rigid that it's not even fun. So let's look at that. Let's look at how that comes into play over and over again in your daily life. Then I want to switch gears and really ask this question. And maybe some of you have thought of it as well. We give everything a lot of meaning here. My question is, does it really mean anything? Like, does any of this really mean anything? Or are we just giving it so much meaning that we can't break free and see the joy and see the laughter and humor of this whole production that we call life? And then lastly, I want to talk about how to laugh at yourself, how to laugh when other people are doing funny things. And not that you're laughing at them, but you see that they do exactly what you do. So it's a little reminder when somebody else is going off in their mind, oh, I do the same thing. And then you can lighten up about it. And that's just a signal to you to go within and let go. Let's start by this rigid mind. The mind has this set experience of life that A plus B must equal C. Everything must go according to plan. And I must have total control of everything. And if I don't meet these needs and expectations, I will then be miserable. Right? I mean, seriously, how many of you think like this? How many of you are dead set on life needs to look a certain way? Get real with yourself. You'd be like, yeah, I totally do that all the time. I get up in the morning and think everything should go according to my genius plan. And then when the plan doesn't work out, what happens? You're literally pissed. You're miserable, and it sets you off to have a horrible day. Again, that's a choice, right? We talked about this in the last couple of episodes. It's a choice how you see things. But the mind will do what? Go insane, and we attach to it. And then we're in the rigidity of life where you're stiff and uptight. You know, you can just picture rigidity in the body. It's like, I can't move outside the box. Well, the ego loves this, right? The ego loves to attach to meaning and purpose, and everything must have some sort of rhyme or reason to it. The ego loves to question everything. It needs to know the answer to literally everything. I mean, you see it in the world all the time. Science is such a big thing today. I feel like it's kind of taking over, and everybody needs, well, now there's scientific evidence that we're energy. Like, we didn't know that? You don't feel that? I mean, it's like some people will not believe something unless they have solid evidence and proof. If you're one of these people, it's very difficult to get past that, isn't it? If you're up in your intellect and you need to know that something in the body is functioning a certain way and it's doing it because of this and this and this, and you only use the research to validate what you believe, but you're not willing to trust your intuition or your own internal computer, it's a very difficult place to get past, isn't it? Like, I always think people that are in the intellect or they're in the intelligentsia or the academia, this is a hard place when we're speaking about consciousness to move past because you need evidence, right? You need that physical, tangible evidence for everything in the world. When in reality, do we really know how any of this is happening? I mean, we like to think we do, right? We like to think we know. But my question to you is, do we really know? The mind is going to want to say it does know. Here's what's going on energetically now. We know that frequencies are really in charge, that metaphysics is really dominating, right? Underneath the form. It all starts in the energetic field. And there's evidence to support that. But when we get so locked into the rigidity of the mind, are we losing access to the present moment where we are all literally being invited to feel and experience this presence underneath the form? That is my point here. When we're so locked in insanity, right? When you're screaming at your kids, when your kids are screaming at you, when you're pissed off at work, there's no joy or freedom in that. Not at all. And when you're locked into the thinker, there's no laughter. The mind does not want you to see the cosmic joke in front of your face. That you could step out of that right now, like right now as you're listening, you could step out of your own thinking mind of what I'm even saying and smile. Right? The access point is now. And when we get locked into the mind and the mental gymnastics and what's going on and what we think should happen, we miss it. We're literally missing the opportunity to laugh, the opportunity to see beyond the identity of who we think we are. I mean, we literally think that we are this person living in this world. And as A Course in Miracles says to us, we are the dreamer of the dream. Key word, we are dreaming. Literally dreaming it up. You don't have to believe that theory to still see yourself as an actor or actress on the stage of life. Like, for example, have you ever been so lost in the thinker and so consumed by your thoughts and everything needing to be a certain way, and you have validation for why you believe what you believe? Have you ever been so engrossed in it that you miss the game that's being played by your own identity? For example, there were many years where my kids were little and I was so lost in my own awakening and darkness that I was just screaming at them. I was just losing my mind, yelling. And what was really bizarre at the time, too, is I could see myself doing this. I could see the actress feeling validation and justification for my behavior, even as I was doing it. I couldn't stop it at this point, but I could see it happening. It was like I was witnessing the personality self feel so victimized that it needed to scream and project onto my kids. You know, have you ever done that? So as they got older and I got more comfortable with what was happening to me and really stepping into this vast awareness and watching myself, I could then say, if I had just freaked out on one of them, I could say, oh, wow, did you just see me? I just completely wigged out on you. I completely freaked. I am so sorry. That was ridiculous. And then you can immediately correct the error. You can immediately correct the error that you just made. You can forgive it, and then you can laugh at it. Like, I was literally losing my mind, you know? And there is this laughter in it. There's a comedy act going on when you begin to see this. Now, it's difficult if you're in the throes of something difficult to laugh at it. Like if you're in the middle of hell and you're feeling very victimized and like you're never going to get past something, you're really wallowing in it. I understand that. But when the shift occurs and you start stepping out of the identity and stepping out of the thinker and you really access this vast field is when you'll start to smile. Because in that vast field, there's no judgment. And when you're not judging and you're not attached to the personality or the identity, you have a different perspective. You aren't attached to this identity anymore. And then you can literally start laughing like you're watching a movie, but it's your own life, right? It can be really hysterical if you're willing to take a step into the sea, if you're willing to kind of go there. But if you're locked in the seriousness of everything and really attached to that, then it's difficult. It's really difficult. But there's always the opportunity in the moment. Always. There's always the invitation. Like we are constantly being called by spirit, but very few of us actually pick up the phone. Like we have to do our part in creating that relationship with the ethereal realm because it is always there. I think that's the point. It's really vibrant, it's alive, and it's there trying to communicate with us. But we are so wrapped up in this rigid mind that I'm talking about. Like, how many of you wake up in the morning and you have so many things to do? Like, it's endless, right? The to do list, your work schedule, your life, your kid schedule. And then you start developing chronic slogans moving across your mind like a huge headline that's like, I never have enough time. I'm so busy and I'm so stressed and overwhelmed. And then you just keep saying this to yourself over and over and over. Well, I'm too busy. I have no time. Now, that might be true, but can you see how funny that is? You're taking yourself so seriously that you think you have not one moment to take a deep breath and smile at your craziness. Right? Do you know how nuts it is to believe that you don't have a moment to see something differently? Is that true or is it an excuse? You know, Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote a beautiful children's book that I used to read to my kids. And I think it's called, and don't quote me on this, Excuses Be Gone or something like that. And it was just a wonderful story about how kids can notice when they're making excuses for something as opposed to living and actually doing things. It's not that I can't do it, it's I'm making an excuse for why I can't do it. I used to read these to my kids, and then I was like, this is really an adult book. It's actually for the parents reading the book to the kids. But you can just think about life and all the things you think in your head, and are they excuses for not connecting with the joyous laughter that's available to all of us? Laughter is truly healing. It can be a prescription for your mind. We take drugs for our ailments. What about just laughing? I know there's people who are diagnosed with like terminal cancer, or they get this really bad news at the doctor's office and they just decide I'm going to live my final days laughing and enjoy. Because why waste another second in pain, in misery, and not enjoying the time that I have here? Like, what is the point? What is the point of all this if we don't find that inner laughter and where we're smiling and gentle with ourselves? This is a good segue into talking about now, does this world and the things that go on in it really mean anything at all? Are we giving it too much meaning? Because when we start identifying that everything has a meaning and a significance, it's like we're attached to it and we're making it so real that then we can't even get out of it. We're not even willing to step outside. When you're micromanaging every little detail of your life, it's exhausting. How many of you feel exhausted because you feel like you're just hovering over life itself? And then you turn on the news and you're like, oh my God, everything's going to hell. Everyone's so divided. I got to be honest with you. When you go out in your life, do you feel divided around the people you're with? Do you see any of that? I feel like there's a digital reality and then there's life. And I ask you to question, when you go out in your life, how much conflict do you really see? I mean, we all have conflict in our own mind. We all have conflict with our friends and family from time to time. But how many of you literally walk through your day-to-day life and see a bunch of conflict everywhere? I mean, I don't. I just see people walking around. I don't know what's going on in their mind. Maybe they're nuts inside. I don't know. But we all have a decision on how we see this world. And are we going to be morphed by what the news is telling us to believe, that we all hate each other? Do we? Do we really hate each other? Or is that just another story that they want to tell us so we can believe it? Because deep down, we all actually share this nutty mind, don't we? We all share the insanity of it all. And we also share the answer, like I've said many times before, which is stepping outside of it. We have the ability to connect with that spiritual self and look at life differently. That it doesn't have to be this so serious headache all the time and worrying about what's going to happen in the future. We can actually enjoy the moment. Maybe the mind, giving everything such significant meaning and trying to figure it all out, is a trap by the ego itself, so that we never access, like I said before, the opportunity to experience joy, laughter, and peace. Maybe us getting so worked up that everything has a significant value that we'd miss it. Like we're totally missing feeling and experiencing joy in the moment because we're so wrapped up in giving everything a meaning or solving a problem or trying to investigate something new and finding the answers for this. And oh my God, I'm losing my mind just saying it. I mean, have you ever gotten like an ailment, right, in your body? The other day, all of a sudden I started having this little pain on the outside of my left knee. And I thought, oh God, what the hell? Where did that come from? Why is it there? And then if you're not careful, you start worrying yourself silly. It's going to run all the way down my leg and I'm not going to be able to physically do any exercise. And how can I solve the problem? And just shut up, right? Newsflash, we all have physical ailments. We all will deal with the deterioration of the body as we age, whether we're taking care of it or not. The body just does what it does, right? But are you going to sit around and complain about it all day long or live your life in the moment? You know? How many of you go and connect with someone like friends or family and you go for a coffee or you go for lunch? And in the conversation, you're so worried about your life that you're not even present speaking to the person you're with. You're not even enjoying the food you're eating or the wonderful fall cup of coffee that now has that extraordinary new spice that Starbucks has just put in for the fall season. You know what I'm saying? We're so up in the head that we don't actually connect in the moment. Isn't that hysterical? Like, we're literally running a movie, listening to all these stories going on and missing it every moment of every day. And that could either be sad, right? Like, I think I now want to cry about that. Or it's kind of hysterical when you think about it. When you step outside of your identity and you look at yourself and you get real with what you're doing, it becomes comedy. Like you are literally a comedian on the stage. Where do you think comedians get all their material? They learn to laugh at themselves. They use themselves all the time in their material. And of course, their family members. My husband and I, a couple years ago, I surprised him and took him to see Jim Gaffigan for his birthday. And if any of you have ever seen Jim or watched his comedy shows, he's so funny because he uses his family, he's got 5 kids, as part of his shtick. And he's real about it. And for any of you who have kids, you know, he's really speaking the truth about what it's like to raise a family, you know, and it's funny. I think there's many people who think that life should be perfect. Everyone's expecting, oh, I want to have this perfect life when everything's all blissed out and ecstasy and I'm in love with my spouse all the time and our kids are amazing and everyone's achieving and reaching the success level and we're just the perfect family. Right? You know what I'm talking about. That isn't real because life happens. People are the way they are and lots of drama goes down in a family or in your friend circles, or it goes down at work. There's always drama somewhere because personalities take everything to heart, don't they? How many of you, as we're talking about right now, does anything really mean anything? But we actually take ourselves so seriously and we take everything so personally to mean something. Think about it in your life. When were you taking something so personal? When we're attached to the identity and we're so rooted in that self, the small self or the egoic self, everything we see in the world, we are referencing back to ourselves. Very few people are stepping out and not doing that. Most everyone is reflecting back on ourselves because that's all we think we have. Until you start stepping out of that and accessing this vast sea of awareness that's there, then you can start to see, oh, it isn't about me. Nothing that I'm actually seeing right now in front of me has anything to do with me. And this is leading me now into the third part of the show, which is how do we laugh at ourselves? But before I get into that, really do question and start looking at your life and see where you're giving things incredible meaning. Like how much meaning are you putting on something? So much so that it's taking over your life. It's taking over your world and you can't move past it. You can start to jot things down like, Does this really mean anything? Am I wallowing in this for any particular reason? Do I feel validated in what I'm doing? Am I getting attention from this? Like, why is it that I am putting so much meaning to this? And do I have to do that? Because if you say, do I have to do that? You're actually opening the door and questioning, well, maybe I don't have to do that, right? The door opens. Maybe there's another way. Maybe I could lighten up about this whole situation and not take it so seriously. Maybe it's leading me somewhere else. So you can kind of ask yourself those questions when you're looking at the meaning behind things in your life. And it's up to you how much meaning you give anything. That's a personal thing. The outside world is going to tell us what we should be focused on. It's going to show us what whoever's in charge of putting out all this information into the world that we see digitally, on the news, in the media, they're only showing us what they want us to see. It's really up to us to say, does that mean anything to me? Are they wanting me to give this so much meaning and it doesn't really mean anything? So you can really start asking these questions as you see things going on out in the world as well. But let's transition now into how do you laugh? For those of you that are naturally funny or you have a sense of humor, this is not going to be hard for you. But if you're somebody who is taking things to heart and maybe you get offended at things easily, or you're just a very serious person, it can be a little bit more challenging to suddenly lighten up, right? Then you have to say, well, what is it that I'm so afraid to relax about? Like, why am I so afraid to lighten up? Like, what do I think will happen if I let go of feeling like I need to control this whole thing? And it usually stems back to the identity. It stems back to the personalization of everything. The first thing I want you to think about, and it's real simple, just get real. Get real with yourself. Don't be afraid to look at what you're doing, and don't judge yourself when you do it. If you're somebody who's real rigid and you're complaining all the time and you're miserable, step out of your misery for a minute, step out of your identity, put on your glasses, the clear glasses, and look at yourself and write down what you're doing. I'm freaking out. I'm screaming at my family. I'm being really mean. you know, I'm angry. I'm this, I'm that, write it out and get real and see what's behind all of that. Are you blaming an outside experience or force for why you feel the way you do? Why is it that you feel the need to attach to your misery, your stress, your anger, all of these things? There's a reason why the mind is gripping it, right? And like I said before, if you want to go to the depths of it, you can start small and you can say, well, because Sally decided to disinvite me to this event, that's why I'm mad and I'm validated for that. You can start there. But then as you go deeper and deeper, you look and say, okay, well, my ego mind is always going to feel threatened and therefore it's going to attack anytime the identity itself feels threatened. So you can look at things deeper. Well, I'm just feeling threatened, and therefore I'm protecting myself because I'm afraid to lose my identity. So get real with yourself. Get real with why you're grabbing a hold of constant, rigid thinking and feeling like you can't even laugh anymore, like there's no joy. Can you see what you're doing? And when you start seeing it, can you then start to laugh at it? Like, wow, I'm really pissed off. Like, look at me go. Look at how I just went for it there. Really look at yourself. When you are so attached to being right, that your feelings have validity and nobody understands me, therefore I can act this way. You know all the things, right? We all do it. But isn't there a little bit of humor behind that? I'm really into myself. Like I really think I'm like the center of the universe. I mean, don't we all? We all think we're the star of the show. After all, we are the dreamer of the dream. And look at what I'm choosing to think and believe in this moment and how I'm choosing to behave. And I'm choosing to be upset rather than step back, observe what I'm doing, and smile gently, non-judgmentally, and laugh inside. Oh, look at that. There goes my complaining self. Just complaining away. It's like that inner laughter that hits you. And when it hits you, it lightens your mood. You've now disconnected from the grip of feeling like you're just in a box and you can't get out of it. Laughter allows you to heal. It's a fabulous natural medicine. Doesn't cost you anything, and it works. It doesn't mean that you're laughing it off and not dealing with what's happening in your life. That's not what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at is that you're getting real, like I just said. You're looking with the observer, and you're realizing how absurd the crazy, insane thinker is. This is the thing that we all do and share. Nobody is absent from that. And the last thing I want you to think about is lighten up. Don't take yourself so seriously all the time. Where is the fun in that? Where is the adventure of life if you don't stop for a minute, smell the frickin' roses, and laugh? Enjoy what moment you're in, even if your mind wants to tell you it's not going well. That's just a recipe for a continual cycle that is difficult to get out of when you take the bait over and over and listen to the mind. But if you step into that freedom that's really available to you right now as I'm speaking, there's an opportunity to shift your life completely. Do you want to live your whole life worried out of your mind, thinking about the future, I'll never have enough, or what happens if we lose everything? Oh my God, we're going to be on the street. And guess what? There are people on the street, but they're still living. You're still here. You're still living. And you could take whatever experience that you have an opportunity to live and choose to be joyous in it, to find the humor and laughter in it, or you can run wild with the nutcase in your head and freak out forever. Right? And then you go, well, what is the point of freaking out forever? If I'm so worked up all the time and I'm stressing out and my muscles are tightening and I can't breathe and I'm going into a frenzy, I can't sleep, I'm a mess. And then guess what? One day you die. It's like, what was that all about? What is the point of doing all of this if we live it in a cyclical pattern of worry? If we're living it without ever smiling at what we do, without ever taking responsibility and saying, I'm really losing it. And you know what? It's okay. It's totally okay, because that's what the mind is doing. So if you learn how to get real, notice what you're doing in your life, then number 2, you look at it. You look at it with the observer, the non-judgmental awareness field that's there and always there right now for you to access, and see yourself as that actor or actress on the stage and how silly and comical you can be sometimes. And then lastly, lighten up. Don't take yourself so seriously all the time. I mean, yes, there's obviously a place for seriousness in the world. I'm not saying don't ever be serious and actually solve a problem in your life. That is not what I'm getting at. What I'm really just offering is be easy on yourself. Don't be so dramatic and take everything so personally and to heart. If you find that you're doing this and you're taking everything so personal and you're really worried about what somebody's doing and they shouldn't be doing that, I don't know why they're making that choice. That's the wrong choice. And then you stop and you go, why does what they choose in their life have anything whatsoever to do with me? I'm over here thinking I know what's best for everybody else. I'm the dictator. Therefore, I can continue to distract myself with what other people are doing and tell them what to do so that I never stop. Access the now. Smell the roses and smile. And laugh at the thought of what you're doing. Like, wow, I think that I know what they should do. It's funny. So before I sign off today, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope it brings you a little comic relief where you can learn to laugh at yourself. And then you can start looking at the people you're around and you can laugh with them, not at them, with them. When they do those silly things that you do, it's a reminder for you to go within yourself and shift. That's all. I'm constantly reminded all the time. I use everything in my life. Anybody I come into contact with, whatever's happening, it's like I'm pulling in information and using it to learn something, to laugh a little, lighten up. Oh, that's a reminder for me to lighten up. they need to lighten up. No, I need to lighten up. You know? So play with it. Have fun with it. Life should be fun. It doesn't have to be this constant drama of misery. It really doesn't. There's so much joy available underneath the form. Before I go today, I have one last funny thing to share with you really quick. My mom and I went out to lunch the other day. She and I are both plant eaters, and we discovered a new small local restaurant that offered a lot of plant-based food. And where I live, in the town I'm in, there's very little like vegetarian options anywhere. So we're excited, and we go and we sit and we both order these vegetarian meals and the salads. And guess what? It was the worst freaking salad I've ever eaten in my entire life. I don't know how it was so destroyed, but it had like an overwhelming amount of lemon and spice. And I tried so hard to be nice to the server. She's like, how is it? I'm like, well, the hummus is good. I didn't even acknowledge how terrible the meal was. We both walked out of the restaurant. We were like, that was the worst meal of our life. And we laughed so hysterically. Like, how is this happening? I hope that you can find laughter in the things that happen in your life, even when things are terrible, that you can smile and laugh at it. I wish you all a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time. That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.